right. We are streaming. Here we go. Welcome to Blue Collar Mystics, the under the hood approach to the depths of human consciousness. So many mysteries, so little time, so many big words. That's why we aim to take the mystical and make it practical, usable in your everyday life. And you know, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your story. What happened when you started asking yourself the real questions? Like, who am I? What is this? Is it a hologram? Is this some kind of weird cosmic joke? Hey, these are the questions that we are trying to get to the bottom of as we explore the final rabbit hole together here as Blue Collar Mystics. Well, all right. Welcome everybody to our first live stream 1/11/22 here, Blue Collar Mystics. It's the new show, and I want to thank you for supporting us. Thank you. Yes. You, the you that hears the word you when I say you. You who. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you. We're going to get into a deep dialogue here, but we're going to keep it understandable. We're going to keep it on the surface and begin to uncover some amazing ideas and mysteries here on the show. We'll be streaming publicly on big dates every Tuesday exclusively on Rockfin. Check it out on Rockfin. We want to hear from you. Tell us your story. It's really about engaging, understanding, and sharing. So we want to hear from you. And I'd love to hear, too, what is your take on reality? That's what we're going to be talking about in this stream. So be sure to follow us and all the guests, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I want to go ahead and start bringing on our amazing panel. Super stoked for everybody who was able to make it today. Awesome. It just keeps getting better and better and better. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so very much for being here. We have my friend and co-host, Mr. James Thomas. He is a sonic portal spaceship driver. The man is an absolute miracle worker, a healer. He's also a director. He's also a writer and a good friend, compatriot. Thank you, James, for being here. We appreciate having you. You are muted, by the way. Mr. Dylan Fundylmental, my good friend. We discovered each other randomly on MeWe, and I was like, who is catfishing me right now? And I would just want to say you have such a great take on things. Thank you so much for being here, my friend, all the way from Kentucky. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And the lovely, most amazing honey bunny of them all, Miss Marja West. I even rolled my R, boo. Like that's
you did. You did. You know, my 2-year-old granddaughter can roll the R's like a champ. My own mother does not roll the R's. Well, thanks for having me, sweetheart.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so very much. My good friend, I'm so happy that you made it. Super happy to see you. Mr. Not Enlightened, Mr. Skill Will, a.k.a. the Hope Fiend. He's responsible for the hot-ass beat that you hear dropping at the front of this. I want to thank you very much for that and for coming and hanging out with us, my good friend. The Muslim mystic, my friend, Mr. Ahrar Ahmad. Let me hear from you, my friend. Make sure your microphone's working.
It's just awesome to be here, and I'm really, really honored to be on this panel. And it's like I learned so much from you, and it's awesome to be, on this panel with you. It's a great moment.
Man, I have to be honest. The honor is mine. Like I feel so fortunate to be able to bring such amazing people together. It is truly an honor. So thank you, and I'm excited to continue to grow and foster our relationship. And last but certainly not least, everyone's favorite dream weaver, Miss Abby Johnson. How do you do, Abby?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's my pleasure. All right, well, cool. So we were also going to have a good friend Brian Scott here. He had something come up. He wasn't able to make it. I kind of had to drop the ball there too, because he was like, "Yeah, sometime after 2," meaning like 3. I was like, "Oh, okay." So we talked today, and I kind of miscommunicated a little bit, and then he had something come up this evening. He was still going to try to make it, but he was unable to. But he'll be hanging out with us in the very near future. So if you came out to come and check out Mr. Scott, he won't be here tonight, but he will be here. Really grateful for his support and encouragement for the show. So we're really excited. I want to thank everybody who is here in the chat. Feel free to say hello, identify yourself, chat, and be sure to come in and check out our Facebook, Telegram group. We're working on offerings and all of that kind of stuff, but we want to mostly be available to bring really sound information, to be a sounding board, to build community and help people grow and learn and their full potential. So I wanted to start with the ideas of reality, right? This idea of reality that after how many thousands of years we still can't define. And just maybe ask you all out there too, how do you define reality? What do you think about it? I would say that we can't really know it directly, but that it's something that we can begin to understand through models. Something very famously Alan Watts said, the map is not the territory, and the menu is not the meal. I think Korzybski said that too, right? Understanding that the words are these limited containers that we use to try and express what we see, hear, taste, feel, experience, and those kinds of things. And so we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive on that. I know Dylan has has gathered some really amazing resources, and I'm going to let him jump in and start sharing some of that stuff here in a minute. But just before we do that, I wanted to clarify something, because I had a friend of mine mention, hey, she said to me, you share a lot from the map of consciousness, and it seems like, you're kind of making some distinctions between, higher consciousness and lower consciousness. And I just wanted to go ahead and just touch on that really quick. I find this to be an incredibly insightful and helpful map. And I don't say that because you're bad if you're down here and you're good if you're up here, and it kind of seems that way when you would look at something like this. It's really about measuring where we are as far as our own internal power, our own internal strength and empowerment from within, versus trying to control. People who are in a state of fear, people who are in a state of lack, they're going to want to influence the world and their reality externally. Whereas someone who is confident and trusting and has empowerment from within is going to experience a connection with the world and have those things happen as a result of what they're doing within themselves. There's a good old saying that says private victory precedes public victory. And it's really about our personal empowerment. True power, as opposed to force, is why I use this map, so often. Understanding where we are is imperative in order to get to where we're going. If you have a map and you don't know where you are, it doesn't do you much good. But if you know where you are and you know where you'd like to go, then a map is going to be incredibly, incredibly useful. And our idea and what our hope is and what our aim is to have a community that can grow and flourish into this green area here. And these all correspond with the chakras as well, if you're familiar with that, into this heart area of trust and belief in the universe, optimism, intention, transcendence, understanding, and releasing all of the things that have held us back in the past and allowing the world to build reality around us, understanding a framework for that. So I just wanted to point this out, and I'll open up to folks if they want to talk about this model or have anything, specific that they might want to point out about it. I think it's a very useful map. Like I said, it's really not about smashing people over the head and saying, why aren't you up here in enlightenment? You know, we're going to bounce around this thing. I go from the bottom to the top, you know, and ping pong around in general, like in a day. But at the same time, you know, we're building slowly up into the place where we can lean into rest and trust the universe. So from a reality model, understanding that there is something deeper within us that we can use to fuel us, to drive us and propel us forward. I'll also share another quick graphic as well, just about the sort of the journey, I'd say, of all of this, and this may also help with this map of consciousness. This is from David Hawkins' book Power versus Force, by the way, if you'd like to check that out. Okay, and this here is just a little something that a friend of mine whipped up for me for our course, showing us really exactly our progression. These colors, once again, do correspond. And one of the most basic laws in esoteric culture is as above, so below. So there's an idea that as we begin to become self-aware, we're as a group also going higher and higher in consciousness. So it's not just an individual thing. We all affect the whole. And so we're all each influencing and impacting with our layer or experience of reality, or reality tunnel, as Robert Anton Wilson might call it, our awareness, our sphere of knowing and being, all influencing the greater whole. So I think we're seeing a development within ourselves, where we can see this development from these lower parts of consciousness, and we can also track that development in a group collectively as we all learn to grow together and begin to step up into these higher and higher awarenesses, levels of consciousness, what have you. It's also, you know, kind of a little bit reflective of the law of one as well, and I kind of see that as an overarching sort of theme as well. So yeah, so I have one more little thing here that kind of puts these two together and kind of shows us this little journey real quick. So I'll share that as well. I'm getting really good at this live stream and stuff already. Just started. I'm already a pro. 8 circuit staircase here. So it's exactly the same as in an individual level as it is on a collective level, ideally, right, in these models. And once again, we can't know reality directly, but we can understand that we are in some sort of strange process. What the hell is going on? Nobody knows. Spoiler alert, right? But we can make maps and models and make sense of things. That's the beauty and the excitement of reality itself. Oh boy. Let's see here. All right. Cool. All right. So I am done sharing this stuff. Stop the screen share. And yeah, I just want to open it up. Let's start with you, James. What are your thoughts? You've been traveling for a dozen years, working with people one-on-one with vibration, and experiencing people directly over the past 12 years, really understanding that these ideas of reality and how people experience them. Do you want to throw in a thought?
Wow. I mean, I generally think that people are very unaware that their imagination is way more important than it is. And they use it a lot to hurt themselves. And really, it should be turned outward and creating into the world. And most of them have been tricked into memory and anxiety of using their mind against themselves, and their most powerful tool then to navigate reality. And I think the more that they can get in tune with their alignment and their soul, that allows for a more straightforward approach to getting what you want, as opposed to going for things that you don't want, going for things that other people programmed you to want. I mean, who doesn't want $1 million? Don't we all start doing this for $1 million? I mean, that's not how money really works, really. It's somebody else's goal. What do you need to get to where you're going? What do you need to make you happy? We're not here to worship money. It's a symbol and a unit of energy. And so we're all kind of led astray from the beginning towards these set of ideals and goals. And don't forget to throw a little bit of religion and indoctrination in the school system in there. And so unless you have the luxury of having really good mentors in your life, you're definitely going to go astray really fast. And, I was even one of those people once. So it's, we're all challenged. No one gets out alive, and we're all challenged.
Yeah, there's
taking it too seriously, is letting things happen, not making them happen. And, working with energy, not against it.
Love it. That's great. Dylan, you want to just throw in maybe a caveat, and we're gonna go deep into some of the stuff that you have.
Sure. Yeah. I like what James said about aligning, because a lot of people might feel this world is like an obstacle course that they have to conquer, and but I think it's more important to approach it in a sense, try to align with the universe, not conquer the universe. But there's good and the bad, and to align with that, I guess you could say it's about keeping the things that need to stay on your left on the left side, and things on your path, and the things that belong on the right, keep them to the right. And you want the straight and narrow path, and you're gonna swerve. You're going to swerve, but reality has a sort of analog to those bumps on the side of the road. When you start drifting too far, you're going to hit a little turbulence, and you just got to be aware of your senses and what's happening. And the universe will tell you when you're coming out of alignment and what direction you need to be nudged. So you just be aware, try to, follow that path.
That's great, man. Ahrar?
That was I totally liked your the slideshow you had, and I saw the Kabbalah, the couplets, the tree of life, and the chakras, and all this stuff, and it's like what led me to this kind of even awareness, and it was actually through asking questions in my own faith tradition. I was born Muslim, and I asked about I just got into occult stuff, Freemasons and things like that, and it just led me down to a rabbit hole. But it was like, I know this information, how can I utilize it to actually better my life? I mean, what the hell? It's like, but then once I understood, it was more than just intellectual knowledge I was learning. It's something that you have to practice, and you have to practice the 7, you have to understand how the energy works, and it's like a continuous reshaping of your whole consciousness. And then you start understanding how you project it, and all these different systems, they just help, they add a perspective, and that's like everything's I took everything in a blender and I just blended it up, and made it like uniquely mine. That's what I look at my reality. But it actually, it's kind of like you have to think like you're creating a path, and the bigger the path, it benefits other people, but you're not just stepping away from your path and letting the weeds grow to fix somebody else's path, which is far away. You have to also work on your own path. It's like I just look at all these systems and to how I can start to manifest, and it's worked out awesome so far. So I that's how I look at it as, and everything is correct. It's just like how are you? It's really deep, but everything is if infinite exists, everything exists in that infinite. So you can't be outside of that infinite. So it's just a lot of neurological, NLP. It's just all systems that that can take you and allow you to really get to the next, just higher at that level. Get it's just awesome. Yeah,
dude, you're awesome. I appreciate it. That's great, man. And yeah.
And you make it practical. That's all.
Yeah, that's the idea.
I'm about practicality. Like, how do you freaking benefit with this knowledge? Like a year and a half ago, I was living at, really, it was pitiful, but it was like, that's what happened. And it's like, how do you get out of that? How do you get out of depression? How do you get out of rebuilding your whole self-image and getting out of those religious, beliefs that you have to let go of? But it's like you're made to feel bad that this, and it's evil, and just you can't get caught in that kind of mindset.
Yeah, the way I kind of see it is that the world around us is really trying to shove us down into those lower states of consciousness where it's like our basic need, right? To understand reality and be right. Mm-hmm. It's like if I eat a rock and all my teeth fall out and I try to swallow that, like I'm dead. You know what I mean? Like we kind of have a basic need to like be a little bit right about the reality that we have and being shoved down into those lower sense of consciousness from out here, as opposed to taking power from within here. And I see a lot of the work you do, and it's amazing. I love what you're doing, and it's awesome. I think there's a lot we can do to link a lot of these knowledge systems as well. Miss Abby.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, one of my favorite quotes is, sometimes I think of I can think of as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. And I used to really admire that thinking, from Alice in Wonderland. But I realized that it's really about, what can I unbelieve? I like to unbelieve more of my beliefs every day. And I didn't used to be that way. I used to be very indoctrinated in religion also. And I considered myself like very fundamentalist, and I read the Bible, I knew the Bible, and it didn't make me happy. And I realized how unhappy I was. So it really kind of took some meditation. And actually, I listened to a YouTuber who kept talking about transurfing. And transurfing, it explained why everything was going wrong in my life. I am the creator of my reality. It's not religion. It's not punishment. I'm not being punished by God. I punish myself when I think I deserve it. And there was a lot of freeing statements and all of that. So since that happened, since I've been open to the world of quantum physics, I've learned that a lot of the things that I believe are probably not right. And a lot of the things that I've been taught to believe are probably very, very much not right. So unbelieving is kind of my new superpower. Oh. And I think I challenge everyone, start unbelieving, like question your beliefs.
That's great. I love it. Yeah. I'll note Robert Anton Wilson again. He said, I don't have any beliefs. I have suspicions. Certainty is definitely not our friend. Marja, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
I love what everybody is saying, and I relate to everybody. And Abby, I really relate to the unlearning what it is that you are indoctrinated into. So, being in a family environment that was, really hell on earth, I learned very quickly that, the world is not the planet, because I use nature as an escape from all the abuse, all the yelling, all the screaming, all the beating, all the sex abuse, all of it. And to have that sort of polarity of, this shit show, pardon my French, versus my natural way of being. And learning very early on that, oh my God, I can play with reality and making it pliable. That on the one hand, my mother could tell me who and what I was, as a very, very bad child, and ruining her life, or I can be the little fairy princess who was, out with the nature divas, and really learning about light and love and how nature works, and pretending quote unquote to be a fairy was actually my lifesaver. So learning very quickly that you can play with reality and make it what you want was really, I think it was like my own little bit of initiation. Plus, who was it that mentioned? Was it you, James? You mentioned mentors. I had precious mentors throughout every step of my life. And my earliest one was my nanny Magda, who caught me having conversations in the dark with the light beings that were so apparent to me. And she saw them too. And she also warned me. She said, "You have to be very careful how you expose yourself, because that kind of behavior, a lot of people are not going to understand it. They're going to be really frightened of it. So you need to be really discerning." And I just remember thinking, what does she mean by discerning? And and I didn't know English very well at the time, but she made it very clear that there is this sort of fine line in reality between the norm and what you perceive beyond what that norm is. So, and I think I've just been at it ever since. And so, and it's fun. It's fun. It really involves the engagement of the entirety of our creative nature, which is, really who and what we are. We're here to move formless into form in whatever way, however.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Mr. Unenlightened, you care to weigh in on this subject?
Sorry, I don't know how to work this website. Can everybody hear me though?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Hear you.
And I tried to put on Bluetooth because I got neighbors banging around. So, yeah. Thanks for having me on, man. James, good to see you again. I actually got in this guy's sonic portal. It's pretty awesome. If you've never been in a sound bath, Marja, I know you from Instagram. Dylan, I know you from the comments. So I've heard a lot about Muslim Mystic and the Dreamweaver. Is that correct? So Bootsy speaks highly of all of you. I'm kind of at a loss for words. I mean, a lot of y'all really summed it up. It's really, what is reality? If I say like what it is, well, it's already negated, right? Like you can't really define it. It's our own pursuit of understanding it. Grew up like hardcore Christian, and knew that there was something in that, but I'm kind of a rogue, so I had to like throw it away and push past it and see, if I could find my own light, and I did, and it's beautiful. And now I see it everywhere. I see it in everybody, and I like being with like-minded people who are looking for the truth and trying to operate from that level. And it's hard because you have a lot of people come against you when you start asking your own questions about what reality is. People will disown you, and you have to at some point be okay with that, and just treat them with love anyway, so I don't know. I'm glad to be here. I'm just going to ramble. So
That's all right, man. I appreciate you being here. I'm really happy to see you. And we all can ramble, and I love your take too, because I know the experience that, or I know of some
experience that you have had, you even shared, and it's really powerful and amazing to be able to do that. And you helped me kind of see the beauty in the scripture, because I would grew up Christian church, had a lot of contempt and anger from it. In there, but through getting to know you and our friendship over the past year, it's really opened me to a lot of things.
You're kind of cutting out. You're like muffled, coming in and out.
Right on.
There you go.
We good now? I might have a.
Yes.
It's your tinfoil hat, dude. It's blocking out the.
This really is a tinfoil hat. It's lined with silver, but it doesn't look like one. No, that's great. I love that, dude. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Lead's the thing, don't you know?
What?
That's why they put the lead vest on you when you get your X-ray.
Oh yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, Dylan, I know you have prepared some really cool stuff. I would love it if you would show us some of what you've been compiling. Dylan is a friend of mine. We've been chatting for quite a while, and I've been just amazed with this young man. He's got a brilliant mind. He's very smart, and he's compiled a lot of information from a lot of different sources and put them into his own sort of model. And I love seeing that. It also dovetails right into my model, your model, everybody's model. Kind of as Will was saying, it's like as soon as I define something, it negates what it is. But I think all this stuff ultimately dovetails. It all folds into itself ultimately. So, Dylan, I would love to see some of what you put together, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, no problem. And I'm definitely going to talk on what Not Enlightened said about how it's the pursuit that we're really talking about. And also what Marja said about making the formless, giving the formless form, right? But I'll go ahead and try to share my screen now. Okay, let's see if I can rearrange my windows here. I want to make sure I can see you guys at the same moment. Okay. Well, I guess my monitor isn't big enough to pull that off. But anyways, we can go anyways. So this is pretty much the first step of the final product. I've taken it a little further than this, but I just wanted to show it to you first so you know something like what it's really all wrapping up into. But to start from the beginning of, I guess, my story of making this, it's exactly what Bootsy's intro is talking about when a person starts asking themselves, who am I? What is this? Did God make this? How many years ago did it begin? What's going on, right? And so then one of the expressions I've always heard over and over again seemed like a good place to start, or seemed important to think it in a sense of that expression. If you don't have a solid foundation you're building upon, anything you construct on top of it's going to crumble eventually, right? So fundamentals, a solid foundation, a good grasp of the basics, having a solid base is real important. And so I asked myself one time, maybe I can use words, maybe I can just think like, what are the most general fundamental words I even know? Because something like the word soccer, there's so much implied with just a single word. And so what can I do to start chipping away to where I'm just left with the core? And so I found out after I'd already pretty much gotten to the final product of the first creation here, I found out that what I'm doing has a name. People have been at it for a long time, right? I'm not the first person to think this way, right? And so I found out specifically that what I was doing was a branch of philosophy called metaphysics. And specifically in the metaphysics, which breaks down into ontology and cosmology, which I'm also interested too. But what I'm presenting here is my endeavor into like an ontological pursuit. And like it says there, it's exactly what Bootsy's intro said, like, what is real? What is reality? I got this Google definition here. This one's from Wikipedia. Here's another one. I really like this second definition entry. It says a set of concepts and categories in a subject area or domain that shows their properties and relationships between those properties. But all you gotta do for what I'm talking about is replace a subject area with the universe. What subject area are we talking about? I'm talking about every existence, right? So what I'm trying to do is find the set of concepts and categories of the universe, most fundamentally, and then lay them out in a way that shows the properties of the universe and the relationships between those different properties. And this is done in simple ways, in practical everyday ways, like with a family tree. It shows the different properties or people and the relationships of these people in a diagram, right? This is the ontology. A family tree is a visual representation of the ontology of a family and an extended family. And the same applies to just like people have families, so do languages. One language often splits to become two different languages, like how they say, like Latin became all the rest of the Romance languages. And so this is a diagram that shows the ontology of all the Indo-European language family. And speaking about people have been doing this for a long time, the Greek philosopher Aristotle made this sometime during his life, and I'd already finished pretty much making my fundamentals chart before I even came across this. And when I saw this, it was so similar to what I had created, blew me away that my independent thought aligned with one of these greatest minds of all times, diagram, and showing his thoughts laid out graphically. And just to go over this real quick, because it gives you a feel for like what I also did, but his is a bit more simple to begin with. He puts substance at the top, and then he says material substance is different than immaterial substance. And the only entry that he puts for an immaterial substance is spirit. I think there's other words that are appropriate, like light is an immaterial substance, if you want to put it that way, or information, or consciousness, or spirit, or soul. So I elaborate a bit more where this stops. But then following the material line, it says, well, you got a body, then you can have an animate body or an inanimate body, and a body without a life, he says, is a mineral. Maybe a little, I suppose that's good enough. Well, a body of water, I don't know if you minerals or solids. So, yeah. So then, an animated body is a living body. Then he goes to break down the difference between a plant, a beast, and a man as all living bodies, as opposed to the dead rocks or the non-animate rocks and the immaterial spirit. So that was his. And without any of the words put onto mine, this is the skeleton of the chart. And just like his, it is top down, where substance then, or consciousness, or I would say it would be at the top, or I deem it incorporeal, like Marja said, the formless, then takes form through its different expressions. And similar to Bootsy's diagram earlier, it is a 8-tier system, which I'm trying to figure out how that might relate to like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, where it's even color coordinated in this way, where I put the root chakra second from the bottom, goes to the top, and in a sense, this one is a continuation going downward of like that repetition of do, like entering the next step into the next octave. And then here we are at the first step of the final product. I was pretty happy once it reached this step. It took a lot of internal debate with myself, but I'd like to walk you guys through the 11 most generic terms in language, in my opinion, in English. And I think a good place to start may not actually be at the top, but the middle at corporeal. And everything above an entry on this skeleton, everything above one entry is an antecedent to the below entry and entries. So
meaning anything above precludes what's below.
Yeah, you could say it that way. Another way of saying it is that anything above is a precursor to anything below, and that the things above are going to need to emanate further, like spread themselves out more, intertwine and mix to create what's below. As you see, everything at the top is simply incorporeal. Incorporeal is at the root of all other things. It's the formless taking form. You know what I mean? And so a good way to show like the antecedent nature of everything above in the list is to start with something a little bit down the line. It's easy to explain. So corporeal means having a physical nature or having a body. And I'm going to have to share with you my slight, maybe alternate definitions of the words above here. But a good way of saying, a good way of explaining why these are antecedents to something that has a body is, well, just simply that any physical thing must have a geometric nature, or it must have a shape. It must have a quantified nature, or like a size. So every physical object has a shape and it has a size. Not only that, but every physical object must also be somewhere. It must have a location. And also, like the law of vibration in Hermeticism, everything must be in a state of vibration, or I like to say change. And at the top, there's a direct line going down to corporeal, because the physical nature of things, I think, is an illusion created by something much less physical. One of these popular expressions thrown around in like the even mainstream quantum field theory is whatever matter is, it's not made of matter. So they're kind of on the same page with me at that point.
That's great, dude.
Thank you. So now that you see like everything corporeal has the antecedents of everything above it, it's easy to see how life, as far as, you know, we say that's alive, that's not alive, right? A precursor to life, an antecedent, is you got to have a body. You know, there's plenty of bodies without life, but you don't normally see much life without a body there. beforehand. And with this life, there's sort of two different activities, you could say, life does. Life measures, or in other terms, life senses. A life form senses, and then the way I'm using art here is creative activity, separated from, like, say, a painting or a sculpture or anything like that. I would consider those artworks or art pieces, but art I define as the activity, the performance itself. You do art, and through your art, you create an artwork. So people act, and people sense or measure things. And then this is the first time on the list where it actually comes together, which I find interesting. Thought about this a lot, but the next complexity of the universe on a fundamental level here is actually a union of two above it for the first time. And when someone creates a message, and then there's someone on the other side to receive that message or assess the message or interpret or measure, or then you get this magical union that results in, like, this a communication, a conveyance. And once you have established this connection between two people, then that can result in forming agreements. And I think a lot, even the words I'm using now, we can communicate, we can convey, because people before us, we've inherited their standards of conveying. They've worked out all the kinks. They've given us this handy, English to use. But English is nothing more than a standard of conveying meaning. Just like there's several other ways of conveying meaning. Symbols, body language, but English would be one of them that is purely conventional. And I'm happy to have walked you guys through with that to this point. But for sake of time, I think I'm happy stopping there. Did I stop sharing?
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool, man. Thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate that. I love the layered processes. I love that you came to that kind of on your own wits, which is amazing. And
something I see very evident in that idea of as we talk about reality. It really is about we are at the midst of create and tell our story, and then we get to experience it.
Sorry, your mic, man. Damn. It's not doing too hot.
Right on. That's weird. I haven't messed with this mic at all. Can you guys hear me now?
That's good.
Okay, cool. I've had it like this for months. It's weird that it's messing up today. That's hilarious.
Balancing forces.
Yeah.
I just thought of that, Abby.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal, so it's got to, balance itself out.
That's right. We're here to create, and sometimes, things get in the way. There's speed bumps and things like that. But I just wanted to highlight the creative aspect of that, and I think it maybe ties in with what you sent, Marja. If you want me to, I'm happy to share that.
Okay, you can share that. It's the sensual life wheel, and I created this out of the real necessity to create a roadmap that my clients, who are mostly survivors of human trafficking, can interface with, because their daily lives, many of them have been just decimated to a point where how do you create a daily life when your daily life was never your own? And quite often in trafficking, these survivors, it's generational. So what I did was I've studied Chinese medicine. I'm not an acupuncturist. I just really wanted to know how it worked. And then of course interfacing the sort of divide and conquer agendas that are outside of the what I call the true quantum field creation field universe and are locked in the matrix, not the movie, but the matrix of all the rules and regulations and all those pendulums that want to define who and what we are. And that when we are victimized, we're victimized forever, and we can't create, we can't even have a daily life. So utilizing the integration of the masculine and feminine. So for myself, the masculine being the doer, the feminine being the feminine also being the sort of creatrix. And with the creatrix, you have to take action. And in the matrix, we're programmed to do. You gotta make this shit happen. You gotta, and we are just doing ourselves into the ground and pulverizing ourselves without adding any space. So what I wanted to do is that I wanted to create a simple map to balance the masculine and feminine within each male and female, within men and women, instead of getting into a more of a gender divide. So to integrate those components, also integrate divine with the flesh. Dylan was talking about spirit and the sort of corporeal nature of the physical plane. Yes. So bringing those together, balancing our being with doing and our suffering with pleasure and enjoyment. So these are very, very simple, easy to follow, and especially for, starting at the very brass tacks and being able to incrementally learn and apply these on a daily basis. And then, of course, the lower part of the graphic, I've got the chakra system here. And for myself, the chakra system is how we conduct, what is the nature of creativity? It starts with a spark of intuition, creative inspiration, and it gets downloaded from our seventh chakra. We get the idea, we see it in our third eye, we speak it, we feel it, we magnetize all the assistance to make it so, to do the creations, to drop it down into the second chakra, where the creations are materialized and manifested and finally birthed through the first chakra into physicality. So I wanted to add that, and I really just it came in a dream, of course, while I was endeavoring to study for big exams, 5-element theory. And the funny thing about it is I missed the exam. Oops. I missed it. So it was not meant to be, and it wasn't a failure, but if that's what I received from it, so be it. So that's the scoop on that in a nutshell.
Thank you for sharing, Marja. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I believe, it's funny. I knew we'd kind of come to this moment, talking about creation, talking about our ability and responsibility to create reality. And I'm seeing a lot of that also in the comments as well. We can show some of these, I think, too. Someone says that reality is malleable. One's own experience is their reality. Making it okay for others to have a reality different from one's own is the challenge. I think that's pretty funny. Yeah, I back to the idea of we all each have our own interpretation of reality. This can be a little bit confusing and I think oversimplified and even treacherous. It's happened to me where I thought, oh, I'm the only thing that exists. I'm the only thing that has consciousness. Everything else is just,
something other, right? Like the solipsistic view. I'd love to hear anybody's thoughts on that.
We
Well,
are one.
maybe. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm a big fan of the idea of the collective consciousness. That's why at the top of it all, I have the incorporeal, where most fundamentally all things are. Someone said this the other day. Everything has at least one thing in common with everything else, and I think that's consciousness at the end of the day.
I think that's
But you have this individualized limitation, but at the same time you also have this individualized rulership over a piece of it, you know?
Sovereignty.
Yeah.
It's sovereignty. We're sovereign, but you know where. Well, my conclusions have led me to believe. So this is one of my beliefs that really we are all one. We are all God, and I'm sorry if that offends people, but really, I believe that we all are. Like, there's nothing. I'm not saying I am you, but I am you. You are me. There's times when I can actually feel the connection with a complete stranger. I can close my eyes and imagine what they're feeling, and I have a pretty good idea that I'm feeling the right thing, you know. And I really do believe that it all comes down to we are all a part of God, or the source.
Rumi said, "You are not a drop of the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." I think that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. You know, I know it's just a weird concept, right? Like, how do you quantify that we're all one? And sometimes, and I'm using this in my stand-up act, I'm like, I don't want to be one with you idiot. You know, there's some people out there where you're just like, I'm not really feeling it. You know, but it's not them, right? It's that expression. It's that part that is disconnected, and you see that. But then it also leads you back to yourself to say, well, what am I missing? You know, how am I doing this exact same thing as the world really does present us so often? The thing that it is that you know we are lacking. That we're
See, and I like to practice that with people who are really random, you know, the ones that normally I would have judged before, that I'm like, oh my gosh, did you see that crazy lady on the scooter? And she's like riding with her head back and her hair blowing in the wind, and she looks ridiculous. And then I have to sit there and stop myself and go, like, imagine myself on the scooter and what she's feeling at the moment. Like, she's feeling free. So, and those little tiny slivers are what helps you remember that you are that person. You're sovereign, but you are them.
Yeah, separate, but still all of the same, made up of the same.
Well, I think, you know, you're missing another angle of that. Is you're the rocks and the trees and the stars and all of it. It isn't just other people. It's literally all of
It's
it.
all alive. Yep.
And I've had quite a few quite interesting experiences being a psychedelic spaceship pilot, and just been all the way around the galaxy a couple times, and it's a whole lot more than just us.
Yeah, I think that's well put as well. Yeah, my favorite game as a kid was the Everything's Alive game. In that game, we were with our babysitter, and we would just like be in the living room and he'd be like, oh my God, the lamp's alive. And then we would all run into the other room, into the kitchen, you know, and like hide under the cabinet and be like, oh no, the fridge is coming alive. And then we'd have to run into the bedroom, you know, and then, you know, everything just came alive. But in my mind, that made sense. Like, I felt like everything had an element of life to it. And it's kind of had a long-term impact on me, really. Like this animism, I guess, is kind of how you would explain that. Somebody said, today's thought: it's a blessing to feel the depths of the emotion when it's not yours. but you can feel it when it doesn't belong to you. The most saddest of atoms. You must digest and understand what is the fruit of abundance to understand Christ consciousness. The gift is knowing you understand it. That's the real abundance. It's important to have empathy. Reaction is creation. And I really, really like that last line, especially that. They're even you could take those words and they spell each other. Whatever that's called. What is that called?
Anagram.
Is it an anagram? Yeah, that's right. Reaction is creation. So I think that what often happens in life is we kind of forget that. Like we forget that we don't really understand. So kind of back to what I was saying earlier, we want to be right. We want to understand how we create reality, right? We know that's true. We want to understand it, but we often have the wrong sort of controls that we're using, right? So back to that map of consciousness between power and force, we try to force things to happen in this external reality, in this 5 cents, deal, and try to push and shove and do those things. When in reality, the true power, the power to change reality relies in ourself, in our own creatorship within up in here, mental. It's all mental. It's all from that. So understanding how to engage with the situations, with the people, with the things that are presented to us in our life, that's really where reality creation begins. It's really in how we respond to whatever it is that we are presented. So reaction being creation. I love that quote. That's really an excellent observation.
When you are everything, it brings a whole nother meaning to the phrase self-responsibility. Because what is a responsibility but an ability to respond, right? Exactly what you're saying. When you respond to anything, you're responding to yourself. And so, maybe a good way to put the meaning of life is to try to have correct self-responsibility or behave with correct responsibility. Responsibility to what, though? From a nihilist perspective, I don't have any duty, right? I'm not a Christian, but well, maybe you set your own rules. Maybe there's
to respond correctly, maybe is to find out who you are underneath all your trauma. Because when you respond from trauma, you're not really even responding from you. That's not even who you are. You're responding from programs that you keep running. So maybe the responsibility is to find out who you are under all those layers. To become more authentic.
I agree with that.
I suppose trauma, you could say the rest of the world is a mirror. I've heard Bootsy say this before, I think, about the world is a mirror that reflects you when you look at it. And trauma could be a lot like a warping of that mirror.
Like body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Like where you look in the mirror and you always see your weird nose or something like that. And it's really not that bad. You just happen to see it that way. Yeah. And that's it. It's distortion. That's exactly it. Is that trauma is distortion.
You gotta untangle those traumatic knots like your headphones wires,
Well, I kind of think it's all intertwined because, it is all one big giant consciousness experiencing itself, and everybody at their stage of where they are is completely appropriate to their spiritual growth and their decision. And so, the idea that someone triggers you, and I want to get to the bottom of this because a lot of people think, oh my God, you triggered me and you have a responsibility to me. The world does not have a responsibility to your trauma. That's a trigger telling you that you have work to do. And if you don't recognize that, and then you just hold the world accountable, you'll continue to be a victim. That's the greatest thing anybody can do to you, especially someone that's close to you, help you understand what it is you need to fix. And if you could acknowledge that as not an attack, which I am guilty of, I could not handle criticism early in my life. Everything was an attack. I was working from a defensive position. I didn't have anybody on my team. And so every time I was triggered, especially by my last love, it was a constant battle, as opposed to now understanding that this feeling that I have isn't her responsibility. She's not doing this to me. She's pulling something out of me and making me aware of it. And when you start to look at things are happening for you and not to you, well, then you can take a whole new perspective.
Perfect.
Yeah, you take your power back. Owen,
Can't hear
you're
you,
muted.
Owen.
I'm muted. Ah! I'm over here whipping up the crossfades and putting people, and I just totally forgot. No, I would love to hear from anybody who might like to share. How do you remember to respond? I know for a fact this stuff is true because I've been experiencing this stuff for the past 5 years of my life, and the more grateful I am, the better I respond to situations. The more I keep my cool, the better my life becomes. The experience just gets richer and richer and richer, up into the point where I almost feel bad about how good I feel. Right. But, I've had to put things in place to help me remember, not to freak out, not to react. It's like, for instance, I was really excited to have Brian on the stream, and he wasn't able to make it tonight. Right. An earlier version of myself would have gotten so upset and mad. Like, I thought we were friends. It's like, dude, it has nothing to do with me, right? Like, it has everything to do with, they're dealing with something, and, hook it up, do your thing. It's not a big deal. We're having a great time, and this is going to be an amazing episode. There's an advantage here. I don't know what it is, and it doesn't matter, but I know that it's there. So we continue on appreciating the circumstances, being grateful for what we have in this moment, and continuing, of course, toward our goal, and doing all the things that are necessary to take action and be living on in the way that we hope to, but also just, how do you, in those moments where it's so easy to just fall into victimhood, where it's so easy to just want to give up or complain or fall into, a negative attitude, how do you keep yourself from doing that?
Well, it goes back to the responsibility, right? And the responsibility is you have control over one thing in the universe, three things in the universe: how you feel, how you act, and your thoughts. And if you can't get control of those three things, you will never have this idea and the illusion that you could control anything outside of you, because you can't. And once you start realizing that everything has nothing to do with you, that it has to do with them, and it's just a whole lot easier to just make protective decisions instead of these idea that the world's got to succumb to all of your thing, everything, or your will. It happens. The world is going to happen without you, and lots of things happen every day, and I just relinquish my need to control it. And if something is too difficult, I look for a way to pull myself away from that situation and reevaluate.
I did the same thing. I use it as a signal to wake the F up, girl. End of story. Wake up. You're triggered, and I look at it. I look at my layer of reality, and it's usually because I'm snoozing momentarily.
A momentary lapse of reason. Hey, it happens,
It's a lapse of consciousness,
right?
Literally,
yeah.
Where I've gotten sucked into a shit show of he said, she said, they said, we said, I mean, look at the main shit shows within the Matrix. I mean, you just pick one. And so I've learned to just really snap out of it. I wake myself up. see myself, see reality. I'm a Tufti fan. So
Yes.
I apply the Tufti every single day. And thus far, I'm on a roll. I'm having a good time these days, and I'm not going
Yeah.
to feel guilty about it, you know. And I know that in the circles that I work with survivors, quite often, if you're rocking your life, that is seen as an affront to those who are still under the clutches of feeling victimized and really that identitarian BS that people get into. And, you know, they want to gnash, they want to fight, they want to like get in your face. I'm just like, you know, whatever. I don't push up against it anymore. So and it usually dissipates on its own. And I think it's just my practice of, you know, hopping onto the pendulums and getting into the momentum as it serves me. And once it doesn't, I can just get off it very quickly. So I feel blessed, but you know I've been at this for over 6 decades now. So it's like, girl, you gotta like, yeah, hop to it and have fun.
Hey, Owen.
Yeah.
Somebody asked a question down there, the Facebook user, how to protect your and how can you protect your energy? You see that?
Yeah.
I kind of want to address that.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Oh, we can't hear you now.
How about now?
Yep.
We good? All right.
Yeah.
How to protect your energy is raising your vibration. It's like when you're stuck in a particular cycle of behavior, you're running at a certain vibration, and the more that you raise that vibration, the more the lower vibrational stuff has a hard time taking presence. And the way to start raising your vibration is to love yourself. And I know that's a very difficult thing to do, but the number one way to start doing that is creating, is doing things you enjoy, not loathing your moment, your now, and doing things that make your heart feel good. And the more that you do that, you raise your vibration, and you're showing the universe that you're doing what you came here to do, which is, you know, not to not be in alignment. You're here to create. And most of us just consume. We consume everybody's art. We consume everybody's idea. We consume our time for work and money and all these things. But a lot of people don't create. And the moment you start to create, you get into a space where time disappears and you start to love yourself. And I was forced to stay home like everybody else during that lockdown. And it was probably one of the greatest years of my life because I took the time to create. And the more I created, the more my life got better. The more that I enjoyed myself and found reason and found a way to be. And the more happy you get, the easier it is to deal with those people trying to take your energy. And yes, healing your trauma is a great way to also deal with those people who are coming at you, because when you start to heal, none of it matters. And it only matters if it's dangerous.
And then I would just add be aware of pendulums. Where is your energy being siphoned? You know, where are you putting a ton of importance? Stuff that's irrelevant, like your favorite sports team. I'm not saying that you shouldn't like sports, but how many
Go Dogs, by
people?
the way. Can we just stop for a second and go Dogs?
Sooner, sooner. but no, it's if your team loses, though, are you going to have a bad day and a bad week? That's totally stealing your energy. So you need to see where you can cut the emotional response to things that really have nothing to do with you. Enjoy it for what it is if you want to, but politics, religion, sports, I mean, you name it, there's so many things that take your energy.
Yeah, it's that's a good definitely a good point there. I'd love to hear from you, Ahrar. I know you do a lot of ritual, and I would love to know how that relates to your, you know, experience of reality. I think it's cool. I follow you on TikTok, and I love the stuff that you post. It's definitely, you know, provocative and unique. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit with us about, you know, your journey into ritual and how that affects your reality. Let me ask you. Let me unmute you.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Hey. So yeah, definitely. You good? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So basically, all that stuff we were talking about, like about understanding these energy and quantum physics and all that stuff. A lot of that, to get to that level, I had to go past a lot of limited programs, or like teachings that I've held on to since I was a child through religion. I mean, religion literally is a
Absolutely.
frequency vibration. It means relegare, it means to relegate. It relegates your consciousness. It binds, but it's not like a binding is bad. If you go to the hospital, get your freaking hand bound, and then they take the binding off, and then you got to go to physical therapy, but it's like you don't leave it on forever. It's just you move on, and each of these bindings are shapes. They're like they tie your consciousness to a certain formation. So it's like, why not to a higher frequency? But the thing is, to understand this even concept, I had to go past red lines like, oh, you can't learn this because it's black magic. Oh, you can't talk to the jinn, which are like demons, but they're not demons, but because demons are like inner genius. Jinn is like an inner genius. A demon is a Damien, which is a French. I mean, it's a word from a Greek word. It means genius, like your inner Damien. So it's all these words, but when we think of these words, because we're programmed to think of them as bad things, because we watch movies that they said demons, but they're just energies and frequencies, and it's just how to understand your own self. And it's just it's like you have to basically go in this chaotic world, but it's like there's a lot of correspondences. That's what keeps you sane. It's these laws of nature, of natural law, of like even physical laws. This is all for your self, not to be crazy. So there's always like a realm of creation, which then you project, and this is the projection. And it's making the connection and how to understand that. But then it's like you just want to have fun too, but you want to also, I mean, it's hard to be in that space all the time, and you got to pay your bills, and you got like my daughters, and it's like but it's like you can't also be tied to pendulums, but you have to have ritual.
Like we lost them.
Hey,
I like where he was going with that. Go ahead, James.
I've heard everybody kind of throw pendulums around a little bit, and I don't know. That's assuming that our entire audience even knows what a pendulum is in the context that we're using it. So maybe you just want to quickly go over that. Otherwise, I feel like there'll be some people kind of in the dark about it.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So Vadim Zealand defines a pendulum as a unit of collective energy. Basically, the way that nature works around us is collective energetic forms, or the formless may be behind it. I would say even that every physical object maybe even has its energetic equivalent. But if you and I start to work together on a certain thing, and then we continue to grow that group, could be a political party, it could be a religion, it could be just a group of friends. There's a culture that's created, there's an energy that's created. And what happens is we very often, we don't really distinguish or understand that we're a part of that energy, that it's actively like seeking to to grow more and more and more. And so we relate to that energy, and we start to have the same thoughts as everyone else who is a part of that. So if you're a football fan, if you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, you might be barking and screaming, and like I've seen grown men throw chicken bones at other grown men who they probably shared a cubicle with the next week, because they were so influenced by this energy. And if you go to a football game or a soccer game, you'll see the energy that's happening, right? And the energy is being expressed by people mostly in groups. And so one idea is egregores. It's kind of a hermetic idea. But the idea of pendulums is that there's an energetic and there's an energetic cause and effect that's happening that we're seeing the effect of here. So if we were to take Plato's allegory of the cave, right, and they're all like, well, there's just the shadows on the wall. what would be the people in that cave would be the pendulums, and then the expression of sort of what we're experiencing out here on the screen, would be the material reality or the shadow in that particular allegory. But the idea is that energy collects, and basically as it collects, it continues to grow, and as it grows, it has more influence, and these are things that are external, not of us. These are things that are someone else's idea, and we get tricked energetically into giving our attention over, our energy over to these movements, these ideas that aren't really who we truly are, but are some sort of an established standard or group that someone else has created. So when we're talking about pendulums, that's, I don't know, that's my best definition at the moment. I feel like I could do a lot better, but but just to throw a definition out there, if you want to elaborate on that, I'm more than happy to hear anybody's take.
I got a question.
Sure.
Can there be a good egregore or pendulum?
So that's an
Or is it
excellent
always
question.
like a vampire?
So that's an excellent question. So I think the thing about that is it's not that they're good or bad. This is really how nature works. If we were to look at a school of fish, if we were to look at a bird, a flock of birds, these things are working not really based on like one leader. These things are all moving all at the same time. So these are expressions. And as far as it being good, I would say usually these are not good in that sense. They're all potentially destructive. So what that means is if we don't negotiate a good deal with them, if we don't manage our attention with these groups, with these structures, then we can give too much of our energy over to it. And it could be anything. It could be going to the gym too much and then you hurt your ankle because you're overworking out. Anything. If you become too much of a LeBron fan, then you just buy LeBron gear and you paint your house certain, and you can just continue down this path where this energetic pendulum, this energetic collection of energy and momentum can literally take all your energy. So the idea is to understand that they're there and more or less like navigate them. That's really what it's about. Like they're not good or bad. Nothing really is. Everything is energetic. It's one unit, one other unit, and the more units of energy there are, the more it goes like that. It's so the idea is basically to understand that they're there and negotiate our subsistence on it, because we do, like, it is part of reality. We do have to engage with them, but ideally what we really want to get to is a self-awareness of who we are at a deep level, and then we're no longer affected by external pendulums. In fact, they will actually serve us. So the idea is to basically have them swinging off of ourselves and serving us instead of us serving them. And I think what we're seeing in human in society right now is a lot of people who are under this hypnotic rhythm. That's what Napoleon Hill calls it in Outwitting the Devil. Same thing, same idea, but the law of hypnotic rhythm. So the same exact thing. It's like it's its own force, and we get sucked into it, and it'll provoke us positively or negatively, mostly negatively. And those lower forms of consciousness that I showed from earlier, those are the things that are usually our triggers that we give that energy away to whatever that movement or idea or a hypnotic rhythm.
I mean, I also have a slightly take on it. The pendulum swings to ground your psychic energy, your intention, your thought. You're moved by your physiological energy, but your psychic energy is everything that you do up to that movement. And those pendulums are taking your energy. They're not good or bad. They're grounding the energy to make the illusion real. And they're there to give you this experience. And it's just a matter of getting control over your faculties to not allow things to affect you in a negative way, and making things work for you and not against you.
Right on.
Yeah. When you're talking about good and bad pendulums or egregores, or not that there is such a thing, uh, it kind of remind me of the difference between, say, like with money being like a symbol for energy in a sense. Uh, it's kind of what you're saying about energy being pooled, and there could be the option of getting, say, unfairly taxed by some tyranny you're subjected to, where it's not going to good use. It's going to some scumbag's pocket or whatever. Versus, say, the same action pooling, a collective pooling of money towards something. Uh, that versus, say, crowdfunding for something that everyone who come together and understand, this is something I want to donate to, because I think the world will be a better place and my life will be a better life if I contribute my energy towards this, even just in the form of money. Seemed a lot like the way egregore can be something drawing in things vampirically, or say something you're donating to.
Yeah, I think again, it's just that you could go into a charitable organization and understand your relationship to that organization and do a lot of good work, or you could get completely swept over by the organization itself and basically be ran over and be taken advantage of by that energy, by that group. And so the idea is to understand that, and it's not to just completely dissociate from groups. Groups aren't bad. Groups, but understanding and having strong boundaries within that group and understanding the dynamics of the group, uh, that is an invaluable thing.
Mm.
A really big lesson as far as navigating the idea of that pendulum or energetic structure that sort of governs the interaction of it, right? Like it's a culture. It's a thing, you can feel it. It's even palpable. So if you understand that and you're able to guard yourself from being basically seduced by it, and you can say, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna establish some standards and some boundaries between that. I'm only going to go to the gym 5 times a week. I'm not going to allow myself to go more, or whatever it is that could potentially be that thing that drips your energy. And one idea that we don't even really aren't even consciously thinking, but sort of steering our thoughts between all these different streams of ideas, which I think there's
social media is the perfect pendulum. I was before my assistant passed away, I was like completely against it. I didn't want to be on Facebook. Don't do it. And she did all of it. And then when she passed away a few years ago, I had to get real. And I was very upset because I was like pushing up against it. And finally I realized, wait, I can transfer this. I can utilize the pendulum of social media. I have to learn some skills in order to manage my attention, so I'm not sitting there, scrolling, mindlessly and wasting time. So to be able to learn how to get on the social media pendulum, Facebook or the IG, and to utilize the momentum of it as a tool for putting forth my creations, connecting to clients, connecting to students, um, building a platform to serve in a way where I'm not in the crosshairs of the powers that want to be. I'm learning how to do that. And so one of the things that I had to do to utilize social media is I had to learn that, wow, there are some free apps that I can interface with where I can just upload my stuff without having to like interact and get sucked in to the whole craziness of getting likes, getting followers, getting content, and that whole thing. And it's been actually very, very helpful. I mean, who knew? And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with this, with the phone, is that you can utilize the pendulum of these devices for a lot of negative stuff, to lose a lot of energy and give it your creative energy, or you can utilize it consciously as a tool to assist you in what it is that you are creating and wanting to share.
So the two things, just basically what you're saying, is attention. And you touched on that before. It's all about where is your attention. And Tufty would say, there's two screens, your inner screen and your outer screen. And your outer screen is everything that's happening around you, and your inner screen is what's happening in your head. And you have to be somewhere in the middle. Because if I'm only looking here and I'm just engrossed in my phone, I'm not.
And
I'm
that's
not
the awareness center. The awareness center is in between. And it's from the awareness center that we're able to create formless into form. You have to own your attention. You can't be reacting to the outer screen or, tripping out, in your head. So
and it's how to get out of victim mode again, because you're not getting your energy is not being siphoned by the pendulum.
In order to create, we have to be present. It's like, I think a lot of spiritual modalities would say, that it's all about presence. And I think presence is incredibly important, of course, but I think that's really the beginning of that creation process, to be present so that we can create a better future, so I think that's really good stuff there, gang. Really, really well done. Awesome.
Well, I think, where that leads to is my other favorite topic, which is the inner guardian. It all comes down to your choice. Everything's a choice, and it's your automated processes hidden by trauma and coping mechanisms that give you the illusion that you don't have a choice. But the inner guardian, once practiced, lets you know that you have a choice, and you do not have to respond. And non-response and not giving that energy away, especially to pendulums, is a great way to defend your position. And things die. They do not affect you after you stop giving them your energy. Only the largest of national and world things keep that shared reality. But if you stop going to the YMCA, all the drama that's happening at the YMCA don't affect you no more.
Is there a lot of drama at the YMCA?
Whatever, competition. It's not it's just an easy visual.
This says the world is your stage, and you play the character. So it's like, choose your character. I literally, sometimes you choose your character, you start playing that character, and it's you. But it's like you become that character. How would that character be as a person? Would that character be triggered? Would that character be arrogant? It's like, and then you just become it. And it's like an awesome game that we live in. And if it's all true, then it's like you can create your reality through your thoughts and the quantum physics and understanding light and all this kind of stuff. But if you can't do it practically, then it's like, what good use is it to just have this knowledge? It has to be put into place. You have to actually start becoming that person outside your comfort zone, because you have to expand to it. If you expand your mind, your body wants to expand, your mind, everything wants to expand. And it's like, how do you contain that? And it's like, you have to reshape yourself. It's like it's not like your body expands, but it's like this part of you has to shed itself. Like a snake, as it sheds its skins, it grows into the new form. It's like you have to grow into the new you. But if you're attached to the old shell, then you don't want to let go of that form, and it's going to be attached to you, and it's going to be all scaly, So whatever, I mean, that's how I look at it as, But
I love that.
And it's just, you have to be willing to you have to be willing to sacrifice that old skin, you know.
I think it's really good to just take a look at like what are you serving? What are you serving with your attention? With your energy? You know, take a little bit of stock in that. You know, take an assessment. You know, what is it that you are putting your energy and attention to, and is it giving you anything back? Because if there's not an ROI on your energy expenditure, then it's kind of it's kind of a waste of money. But understanding that we can use energy once we kind of understand how it works, then it's a way, something that we can leverage. Like Mario was talking about, something that can actually really lift us up and give us a lot of momentum as a result of being unaffiliated. Some of those affiliations would boost us. Right? So I don't know. It's a fascinating topic. I've thought a lot about that idea of pendulums, especially over the past few years. But yeah, I think we've touched on quite a bit to start with here, and yeah, I really just want to say to everybody, thank you so much for being here. See if there's anything else in the comments here. Art Vandalay says, great first episode, enjoying everyone's perception of reality and their uniqueness. Vandalay, you rock. Barefoot Hippies, awareness of pendulum, keeping focus, and also a big heart. One right back to you. Oh my goodness. I really appreciate everybody for being here, for coming and hanging out with us. We're going to be doing these live streams on these like repeating days. So I'm really excited about that. We're also going to be live streaming on Rockfin on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. And Rockfin is like a platform that is a subscription-based platform, but you don't have to pay them money to watch the content on there. And we're going to be streaming free over there. We're streaming on Rockfin now, just to kind of get some traction going. They've been really good to us, so we want to keep a good relationship going and get you guys to check out another platform that really works really well, but it is like an alternative platform, getting off Facebook, getting off of YouTube as much as possible. We're still going to use the pendulums, right? But it is nice to create something new. When we are talking about what is taking our energy, we want to generate our own energy, propel ourselves from within, and allow all of these other things to support us and serve us instead of being at their behest. So I think,
Owen.
Yeah.
I just wanted, before you close, I just wanted to touch on one more thing, and that's spiritual currency. What you pay attention to and how you spend your time. Those are your real returns in life. Money's empty. It's an attribute. It comes with your decisions. So create. What are you going to learn? Every time that I've started to fail in life is when I got to the boundaries of my knowledge. And so what are you going to spend your time and what are you going to pay attention to? And that's what you'll get your return on. And that's a quote from Mark Passio.
Awesome.
Because ultimately time is the currency.
I couldn't agree more with that. Time is the currency. We want to share that time with the amazing people in our lives, like each and every one of you who are coming out here to hang out with us tonight. I really appreciate all the support, all the messages. Please keep sending your stories in. Send us a message and let us know how do you describe reality? How do you define reality? Look how cool that is. I whipped this thing up and it goes across the screen. I'm so proud of myself. It's just ridiculous. But I really want to tell everybody thank you. Connect to us on Telegram. That's where we're hanging out. Click the link in the description. Look at that. It's like a real marketer or something. Come hang out with us on Telegram. We also have a Facebook group, but come check out Telegram. It's getting us a way to create our own things. We want to create. We don't want to use what what other groups would like for us to use. We want to try to create as many things originally as possible. And it's a process, outpouring of love and patience and building community. There's no limit to what can be done. So before we wrap this up, if you guys want to just let everybody know where they can find you, what you're working on, and how people can get more information about you, Dylan, if you want to go ahead and start.
Sure. Same or YouTube channel name is Fundylmental, Fundylmental, and not a lot on there, but there's some good stuff to come.
I definitely believe that. And I will say, I really liked your vlog. I thought it was really good. Guys, go check out Dylan's vlog on his channel. It's a good time. I promise you won't be disappointed. Miss Marja West, Love, Truth, and Beauty, Dakini.kiss. I know all the places to find you because I'm always checking you out.
You do. So we just started season 3 of Love, Truth, and Beauty. So you can find me there on the YouTube. And then Dakini.kiss, at Dakini.kiss is the Instagram. That's really where I'm getting a lot of weird traction. So who knew? And it was the one that I really just disliked immensely. But I'm having a really, really good time with that. And I'm getting ready to launch lovetruthandbeauty.com. That's getting ready to launch very, very soon. And we're going to migrate to marjawest.com there. Well, I didn't roll my R. Oh, my God. That's bad because I'm taking Finnish and I need to be rolling. So roll, Marja. Okay, fine. Okay, that's it. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for being a part of this. It's amazing. Mr. James, Admiral Hitzz.
I'm currently starting a class on freeing your mind and building a new spaceship, which I'm going to call the Mantriana. And hopefully that'll be ready by this summer's tour. And you can find me currently on Sonic Portal on Instagram.
Owen's muted again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm kind of obscure on the internet. I'm a barber. I don't really have like a channel where I teach people anything. Just cut hair. The Kid Can Cut. You can find me on there. You want to come watch me be silent for 2 hours again? Yeah. Thanks for having me on, man. I don't really have a lot to add. I find I'm more interested in listening to other people's perspectives. I feel like if I jump in and add anything, I might just taint the waters. I don't know.
Limiting belief. Will, you're great. Thanks for showing up. Said that's limiting belief, and thanks for showing up because.
Well, it's not limiting belief. I find my silence to be more effective than my speech in some circumstances. You know, it was interesting to hear. Sounds like a lot of y'all are from the Transurfing school. That's actually how I met Bootsy, was through one of his videos, and then we met in real life and ended up becoming good friends. So I'm not a part of the Transurfing school or anything, but it was interesting to hear how everyone kind of ties their path into the models that they've come across.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, there's untold models, and you know, I think Will is an incredible artist. Definitely follow him on Instagram. He's an amazing barber, and he's got a lot of skills. Good friend. I'm really grateful, happy that you came and hung out, man. Your presence is really appreciated, and yeah, hopefully there will be even more of this. Abby, where can people find you? What are you working on? Let us know.
You can find me at abstract_dreamer, and that's on Instagram. It's abstract with 2 B's because my name's Abby. So I teach dreaming. I actually do it through the Get Coached program, and I interpret dreams, and I teach lucid dreaming as well. So And I do trauma healing because dreaming kind of ties in with all of that. So
That's awesome. And Ahrar?
Yeah, I'm at basically everything is Muslim mystic, and I'm on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And it just I just have been documenting my life, basically just talk about certain topics, and I give people some keys, just kind of like I'm almost like a Morpheus, like red pill or blue pill kind of thing, but not so much so, but more like asking questions, more about subconscious mind programming and how you can utilize like different techniques, from occult to transurfing. I mean, you can mix them all together. It's just you have to be, you have to have focus. That's all. I mean, so that's what I talk about, Muslim Mystic on all those different platforms. And thank you for having me, and this was pretty awesome.
And thank you, man. I really, really appreciate it. And be sure to go check out Ahrar's work, Muslim Mystic, on all the platforms. He does some really wild, cool stuff. I'm loving it, and I'm really, really, really grateful to be able to bring community together. Really grateful for all you guys for coming to hang out. Please send in your stories. Let us know, how do you interpret reality? What happened when you started asking yourself these questions? What's your experience been like? For me, the truth of the matter is the happier I become and the more grateful and appreciative that I become in my life, the better it gets. And it just becomes this upward spiral kind of thing emotionally, to where really most of the physical stuff, it's pretty irrelevant. What really matters to me is emotional, and I think maybe that's a good thing to ask yourself too. How do you want to feel? How do you want to experience your life? And if there's anything we can do for you, please reach out. Hit us up on that Telegram chat. We're just getting that started. Facebook group, links should be in the show notes. bluecollarmystics.org. We have offers forthcoming there, as well as some freebies and things we're definitely diligently working back here. And please check often. We have a lot of extras that we're going to be putting out on the RSS feed. We're going to be putting people's stories out on the RSS feed. We're going to be sharing clips that are useful. Talked about Robert Anton Wilson. I'll definitely have a short clip by him and maybe a couple of others talking about ontology. And next week, come and check us out on the Rocks. And Dylan's going to join us again. I believe Abby might be around. Who knows? We'll have an open call. Myself and Mr. Thomas, the Admiral Hitzz, are going to be running this show, and we're really excited about it and really looking forward to a lot of engagement, community, solutions, positivity, optimism, all that good stuff, and real world solutions and practical applications. So thank you, each and every one of you. Go check out all these amazing and wonderful people. Hit us up, send us a message, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.